Hell nah, this ain't the factory, that's uptown. But it is pop art though. Welcome to Volume 2 of the Love Hart channel, sponsored by Mr. Eric Hart Jr. himself. Now before we slide into this motherfucking throat, please like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, I present to you Volume 2 of the Love Hart channel. Enjoy the show!
Niggas constantly asking what the fuck the function, but I'm trying to find the coordinates to the revolution. Since our pleasure is radical, I say we put cum stains on the Constitution. I say we Warhol the institutions. Hell, that nut went for 40K. Meanwhile, it's niggas with much better genes nutting on Twitter every single day. $9.99 a month for the sweetest of black dick. Meanwhile, crackers auctioning 1.8 mil for some piss? No diss to Cracker Andy, but a love letter to my Basquiats. Why I'm talking about our God-given seeds? To remind us of all we've got and how we ought to sling our worth for all that it's worth. Find us a seed God gave this earth. So how you planting yourself in this world? Ancestors' wildest dreams, but what dreams are you sowing for your great-great-great-great-great-grandbaby's little girl? As tomorrow unfurls, which of yesterday's prayers are we actually gonna handle? Cause the faith to dismantle is dead without the work. I pray God give us one accord as we circle jerk the system down. May the system drown and then some. Cause we've all seen how the remains can rise back to the top, making themselves great again. How folks can pay to win and 14% just take it to the chin. And 14% just carry on. But niggas been carrying this load for too damn long. What the fuck the revolution?
Child, I've been looking for this damn poem on every single drive, every single Google Doc, but lo and behold, it's physical. Shout out to physical media. Shout out to physical media. $9.99 for a month of the sweetest black. Oh, as tomorrow unfurls, know that God, what? May God grant us one accord as we circle jerk the system down. Girl, niggas was saying anything. Sorry, it's just coming back to me. What the fuck the revolution? That's so good. Wow. I chew. Like, that's so good. Oh, no, I'm really proud of that. I wrote that 7/8/25. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. I wrote that July of 2025. So I want someone to perform this. But if they can't get the cadence, if they can't get the southern, I might have to do it. But I need to get my hair braided because you gotta wear a Warhol wig. You know it's T when you see them two fingers, bitch. Sell Warhol, love, heart, got it, bitch. They gonna have to see me. Exactly, yes. Yes. What happened?
I was having a conversation with a friend and I was telling him he asked me, we were talking about going to Yale, going to grad school, what's next for myself. And he was asking me,
well, what is their someone? What is the artist you want to be? What are they doing? What is someone that you're like, yes, this is what I would love to become, or even on the road to becoming, this is where I can see myself at. Do you have any of those people that would come up to you and before?
This stays between us because I do not want to give him credit publicly. But I feel like Andy Warhol is the closest thing to it. Like, we're not really looking at people's careers. I'm like, I really like the way Andy Warhol had a certain freedom to do whatever he wanted to do. A certain commercial value that was kind of like, this nigga weird, but this nigga like is setting the tone of what's cool. But for me, I think it's the added element of really wanting to say something. I don't think Andy Warhol was an intellect for real.
He was, well, I'll leave that to myself.
But yeah, like,
Here's the thing.
but I think in terms of like what they were able to do in the areas he was able to tap into, I think that's the closest I could.
Why are you falling into that smallness of the debates of him?
You said the smallness of
The debates of, like you said, I don't want to give him credit.
I'm like, I don't know if this is a nigga I want to say. That is inspiring me, but I think it's all of it. I think in general, it's like when I say inspiration, I don't want to initially go to a white man. Like, I just don't enjoy that being my source of inspiration. But it's the only I think it says more about how we allow black artists to exist, because I can't think of a black artist who's had his kind of freedom, you know? Meaning, like, as many mediums as he's played in: illustration, painting, photography, filmmaking, fine art, commercial. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like he was able to allow his artistic practice to go wherever he wanted to. Then it was pissing on canvases and coming on canvas. You know what I mean? Like, he was just doing shit, and it still worked, and it still gained him a legacy that he is respected and loved and adored. The thing that I'm exploring in this episode is if I can think of or find or really give credit to black artists who actually do have that type of freedom. So I'm asking people who they think of when it comes to black artists that are free. They get to put out what they want to put out. They get to do what they want to do, and they are respected.
When I think about an artist that is free, my mind immediately goes to Solange.
Solange immediately comes to mind. She has made music. She has designed architecture. She has composed ballets. She is working on an opera.
Pharrell. Another one is Shaka Khan.
I think Kendrick is in that realm too.
Spike Lee.
Gordon Parks, who we all love.
Nicolene Thomas.
Willow is a free artist.
Donald Glover. I feel like Khalees has made a lot of different types of music.
David Hammonds, he's basically dodging the whole gallery system, and yet he's seen as one of the most brilliant and influential conceptual black artists out there.
I think Janelle Monáe kind of has that freedom that you're talking about. They get really good opportunities and they always shine, and they're also pretty vocal about politics and things like that.
I thought about Tyler the Creator because he's been free since the start. He was eating cockroaches. He was being a weird nigga from California. We've seen him wear wigs. We've seen him proudly announce he's bisexual. You don't see that in hip-hop at all, and his fans respect it.
But RuPaul has done so much shit: television, film, music, fashion, going from being this kind of punk niche audience figure to then becoming the most mainstream, most Emmy awarded black person in the world as a black gay man who is dressing as a woman.
I feel like true freedom is like when you can make something and not give a fuck. What's that Beyonce line? If I would have gave a fuck about streaming numbers, then I would have put Lemonade on streaming sites or whatever the fuck. I think that's freedom. She can make whatever she wants, and we see that with making a country album, making a alleged rock album.
I don't think black people are afforded the opportunity to be bad at something, so I think that also limits the opportunity for us to be free.
Kanye West,
Tyler Perry.
And I would even go as far as like Kid Cudi, even though his shit sucks, but he does it.
Oprah.
I'm getting these voice notes about goddamn free black artists, and Joshua said Oprah, and I'm so happy he said Oprah. Oprah has always been it. Fuck Warhol. Oprah has always been it for me, right? And even in that car, I believe I said this. Oprah is one of those beings. Although Oprah is not an artist, that's not true. Oprah's an actress. She ran on songstress. But Oprah's not an artist. Like, I don't think of Oprah as a creator of like art. I think of Oprah as someone who curates art and has conversations around art, and who is a philosopher and curator and thinker in a way that's like. But then again, too, once we go back to this idea of freedom, perhaps Oprah is the epitome of freedom in terms of like, I may not put work or paint on a canvas, but I'm an artist in my thinking. It's so hard to deny like she's someone who is free in that capacity. I think she is, to me, more than anyone. There were three names that I thought of on my end where I'm like, okay, these are three black artists who I would say are contenders for this kind of Warholian level of freedom and embody that in a way that's their own and just like have one-on-one careers. And that's Oprah, Tyler the Creator, and Hank Willis Thomas. And then I started to really sit with that and think through that and like really question who are black artists that I feel like have a level of freedom in terms of medium, in terms of conversation, in terms of they really get to do what they want as an artist. And you were the first artist that came to my mind. Because I'm like, Hank has this kind of ability to play in any arena he wants to. And I really wanted to just have a conversation about that with you to see if you even feel that way as an artist.
Do I feel that way? No.
Yeah, you don't.
No, and I don't know if Warhol felt that way. I felt like he was very neurotic and desperately in search of approval, and kind of was, to some degree, frenetically trying all of these different things to see if they work. You know, and so I think there was a freedom, but I think it was like really like an experimentation. Like, oh, this doesn't work. Let me try to figure out this. Let me try to figure out that. You know, we get to look at Warhol from, you know, now it's 40 years since he died, so almost, you know, we get to look at the long lens of his life, but I think from close up, it was not as easy. So it's interesting to make that parallel, because I actually see myself as inspired by Warhol.
Nice.
Also, I feel myself frenetically in search of a certain level of approval, and I envy other artists. I see other of my peers who are more like kind of narrowly focused, and I see all the freedom they have within the arena that they created for themselves, and I envy that, because I'm just like, okay, you created this, like, maybe do one or two things, but you have a whole world to explore one or two things, whereas I'm like, you saw it downstairs. I'm like
not knowing which pieces
do it and don't do it. Damn, I would have never.
That's magic. This is magic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, his mind is different. Like,
and I asked when he came up with this, and he was just like, like one day it just happened.
Yo,
it's an ADHD amusement park.
Yo, I think that amusement park nature is so cool though. Like, it's something like to be said about, like, I don't know, the beauty in being able to like sustain yourself as a successful artist while constantly being in a place of imagination and just like, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try that. And it seems like it works from the outside, you know?
It feels like it works, but it's not without extreme effort, right? And without failure, without kind of regret, you know? Because a lot of times I'll strike gold, genius, but I don't know how to, you know. And I guess in another, like, I think in music they talk stay in the pocket. Like I'll hit it, and then I'm like, oh, let's go over there. And so, but I really am excited about learning how to, like, okay, now you struck gold, like keep digging in that. I'm learning to trust myself still as a human being. I think I felt like incomplete without someone liking me. And I think that while I think I've strived to make work that is both critical while also with an awareness of the critics. So I'm not like a person like, F the critics. I'm like, let me try to include them into my conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that can be great because the work can have a level of dynamism and intellectual rigor that is kind of defendable. But I do wonder what it would be like if I was like, F it.
Yeah. That's the question I wanted to ask you about. Like, do you ever feel a sense of restraint? Because I feel like currently, and maybe this is just because as an emerging artist, you have to find a space in the market. You have to strike gold that first time to even be in the conversation.
Which you've done a couple times, though, right? Maybe 3, 4.
It don't feel like it. See what I mean? Yeah, it's like.
And you're what, 25? Are you
26?
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty good.
It's weird though. It's like a constant mindset of like, this is what the market is asking for. This is the conversation I want to have, but this won't spark right now. And you have to, at least for me and the goals that I have for myself, I know that there's a level of commercial. There's a level of like you're saying, like, I wish I could just be like, F it, and just like put out what I want to put out. But I do also know that there's a level of strategy to achieving what I want to achieve. And I feel like really, really restrained right now. Thinking about the market, thinking about the algorithms, thinking about all of that.
When I was your age and I was in graduate school, as far as Black artists that were like big, there was like very few. Like the one I think about the most is Fred Wilson was like the biggest. Gordon Parks, Roy DeCarava. I was trying to think about who else was like known, all men, notably. But people like Kerry James and Carrie May, Jack Whitten, or like all of these artists who were like almost like household names now. None of them were even. So the idea of having strategy and building a career and having freedom to play and do all that just 20 years ago, that was not even in the game. You definitely could fit all of the known black artists in this room, like all of them, and there'd be room. Still be space. I'm saying that because like you can't time. You definitely can't time the market, right? Yeah. Sam Gilliam, when I saw one of his shows, some of the work was like from 1965, and it was like the first time it'd been sold in like 2015. Like, can you imagine holding something for 50 years? I think it's important to not be realistic, and I feel like when you catch yourself creating limitations for yourself, realize that's more about you than reality. I read a book called Finite and Infinite Games by a guy named James Carse. He said there's two types of games. Finite games are games that come to an end when someone wins or loses, like a race or a baseball game or a legal case, maybe even. But an infinite game is a game that's played simply for the purpose of staying in the state of play. And so the rules always have to change so that you can keep playing, right? And I think at our best as artists, we're infinite game players. We're not trying to have this exhibition and have this notoriety and getting this newspaper. We're just like moving, and like and that's what I think a lot of these, especially artists of African American descent who were overshadowed, underseen, and underappreciated for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, but still had a practice 60 years later. Like, how many people quit because they solved the infinite, they thought it was a finite game, whereas these people are just like, I'm just keep doing what I'm doing, and the world will catch up. The world catch up, like, yeah, I'm here. And I think that idea of like, that's the goal.
I do think that Andy Warhol had a sense of freedom as far as like he had the means to make the things that he wanted, but this nigga wasn't as free as we thought. Like, I feel like he was very much a slave to the audience. Like, he was so pressed about being perceived as this great artist and working for money and so infatuated with capitalism and consumerism. I feel like he was a slave to perception. And to me, that isn't freedom.
What is freedom in this anti-black world? Your ability to survive under the capitalist market logics of our entertainment industry, of our arts industries. Will that ever be a real, accurate, quantifiable mark of your ability to be free? Kanye was able to produce a really large amount of clothes because he had signed a contract. Right? Donald Glover signed a contract with Lucasfilm to play Lando Calrissian. He signed a contract with FX to make Atlanta. It's freedom with bounds on it. It's freedom where someone is looking over and making sure that you don't transgress a certain threshold. And so I don't think artists have freedom in this world. If you have a big enough platform and say the wrong thing, the fans, the corporations, your peers will try to take it away from you. And honestly, what is art without those constraints? What is black art without the unfreedom of the black experience? I don't know that there's free art outside of the way that a flower blooms or a bird sings. I think the fact that we have the capacity to think about freedom shows that we're thinking so much about ourselves and our existence that we're getting in the way of anything that freedom would even be. We're too intelligent, quote unquote, to be free in the way that an animal is, or a flower is, or the air is. And so while I'm interested in having a similar type of career to Warhol, and that I get to do what I want when I want,
at the same time, understand that that's not how our economic system works. That's not how our culture works. And that's what makes it so impressive when a black person does more than the thing that the world wants to box them into, because we understand that you're not supposed to be free enough to do that.
I believe all of us are in search of freedom all the time. Like, the story of America is a story of the quest for liberation and the struggle to maintain it once it's achieved. And this is why we had this dichotomy from the very beginning between slavery and to now incarceration and freedom, right? But I'm thinking a lot about this quote by Winston Churchill that's at least attributed to him. He says, "The empire of the future is the empire of the mind." And I realize how I was thinking about the book 1984 by George Orwell, where he says the world's all upside down, so freedom is slavery. And we are now giving most of our time and attention to the algorithm, to these corporate, these brand new corporate systems that are designed to kind of train our mind, to enslave, literally to enslave our minds. And so when I think about freedom, the only times I really feel free is when I'm not thinking about my phone. I don't know where it is, and I don't care, which is very rare. But like, that's freedom, where it's just like, nobody knows where I am. I don't know where anybody else is, and I'm just here in this moment. And I think it's a necessity. If we want to stay human, that's a necessity. And as artists, I think our responsibility is to remind ourselves and others to connect with our humanity more often. So I'm on a quest for freedom. I'm constantly trying to liberate myself from the matrix. But I might be in the matrix right now. Hi.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Volume 2. The Love Hart channel will be live every Friday this year as long as Mr. Eric Hart Jr. himself don't get pregnant. We'll see what happens. Until next time.